the diesel engine a little later. Munzia, good afternoon. Welcome to lunch.
Good afternoon, thank you, Nkonja.
Madja.
And good afternoon, viewers. Oh, that it is.
Damudi. Nang breakfast.
Breakfast actually about the future one, so that we did.
So damudi. Okay. This afternoon we get to look at Vice President petition that has shaken ERB, ZESCO, ZMA in the 15,000 monthly power usage. And also we get to look at Mutinta Mazoka, who has gone for Mwimbu as Monze Central Rest heats up. Ruling party expected to remain in power during the 2021-2026 period, says the Economist Intelligence Unit. I'll not be contesting the Sesheke parliamentary seat, says the incumbent parliamentary candidate Romeo Kangombe. Mwetwa has no values, says Andrew Ntewewe. But also, some court rulings make me wonder if judges are operating on the moon. That says Edith Nawakwi with regards to the grade 12 ruling. Those are some of the stories that we get to look at this afternoon, and you viewers do get a chance to call in. The number is 0764250055, but also you get a chance to send us a text or to comment via the online platforms that we are live on. That's YouTube as well as Ask a Movie on Facebook. Munzia, the Board of Commissioners of the Competition and Consumer Protection has ordered cement companies to revert to old prices of $4.50 and $5. It has also fined Lafarge PLC and Impande Limestone 10% of their annual turnover of 2019 and of 2020. The board has, however, granted full leniency to Dangote Cement Zambia Limited. This is after the board established that the cement companies had formed a cartel and were colluding and were conducting anti-competitive trade practices. Further, the cartel increased wholesale prices at of their products without reference to their production costs or inflation. So this particular statement is coming from Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. But I will read the official statement that is coming from the CCCP, and then we get to compare and contrast so that it is easier for us, to have this this conversation. But before I even get to reading that statement, cement now is fetching for how much? Around
140. Well, I don't know now, but the last I checked, it must have been 140, 143. Yeah.
Somewhere there. All right. And now $5 is around 110 kwacha. So there's a difference of around 35 kwacha or 40 kwacha if we get to the $4.5. So it's almost 100 kwacha, 110 kwacha is the price which the CCCP is saying needs to be followed. There are no proper measures that were taken for these companies to just hike on the cement. And President Edgar Lungu recently was seen, in the media saying that there are some people that are, he was calling cartels that are hiking prices of commodities to make government look bad. Before I get to the government part, do you think that businesses could just, take advantage of the dollar situation and increase prices without justification?
Anyone that's going to increase the price of a commodity, especially something that is needed on a daily by consumers, or especially something that is needed in bulk by users, I think they will find a way of justifying it. We've seen quite a lot of people talk about why has it's shocking how certain things are going on a hike and other things are everything, let me say, all prices, it doesn't matter what it is you're trying to get, everything is now so expensive, and you start to think, should this really be blamed on the dollar right now? But then business people are finding ways to justify it. They're justifying it to say they too have not just businesses to run, but they too have lives to lead. And away from what it is they're offering the public on the market, they also need to buy certain things that maybe are hiked. It's a pity that people, especially in the corporate world, when the dollar goes up, their salaries don't go up. But when businessmen start to say, I have a life to lead, everything else is expensive, and so for me to manage to do this, I need to hike everything else. Even if this is not directly affected by the dollar, I also need to hike it. It's like, for them, it's a way of cushioning the part that others can't. And so who is to justify why the prices are going up? If you talk about the business person themselves, yes, they do have justifications for that decision. If you talk about the consumer, I don't think they can justify why even something like eggs should go up. Of course, there has been a reason why eggs recently the price went up, but the businessman can justify, well, as the consumer, it's really becoming unfair to them.
I would want to have Mavuto answer this question, because we did have a conversation, him and I, and we didn't reach a conclusion. Why should the prices of cement go up when all that is required for cement is coming from within Zambia? That was the question that I had. Let me welcome Mavuto to set. Mavuto, good afternoon. Welcome to lunch.
Good afternoon.
So Mavuto, you found us in a conversation. Monzia has given her first jab at this, but the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission Board of Commissioners has, at its 49th meeting for the adjudication of cases held yesterday, fined 2 cement companies and granted full leniency to one over a cement pricing cartel. Lafarge Zambia PLC and Mpande Limestone Limited have been fined 10% of their annual turnovers for 2019 and 2020 respectively for price fixing and division of markets, while Dangote Cement Zambia Limited was granted full leniency for having cooperated with the Commission during the investigations. The decision was taken after an exhaustive investigation by the Commission initiated in January 2020 following the Commission's observation of a sustained increment of cement prices from an average 55 kwacha to 100 kwacha per 50 kg bag between July 2019 and January 2020. The board has ordered Lafarge Zambia PLC, Dangote Cement Zambia Limited and Mpande Limestone Limited to revert to pre-cartel prices for a period of 1 year from the date of receipt of the board's decision. The board also directed the 3 companies to submit monthly average ex-works prices, and any price adjustments be indexed to the exchange rate and be submitted to the Commission for review. They further directed the 3 companies should make undertakings within 90 days of receiving the directive that their respective employees should not engage in any anti-competitive behavior, and that the enterprises should not facilitate and participate in any anti-competitive conduct, including the exchange of information. The Board of Commissioners, however, dropped charges against Zambezi Portland Cement Limited after it was established that they were not part of the cement cartel. Namukolo Kasumba, the CCPC Senior Public Relations Officer, say the exchange of commercially sensitive information on future prices and rebates demonstrated that there was a meetings of minds among the respondents to pursue an agreed objective.
They've been fined. So they've been, in short, they've been found wanting.
So,
but of course, there are other costs. I know this will be an issue in terms of argument. Just recently, I had a conversation with a colleague of mine when I tried to establish where he was, and he had, when he spoke to me, he told me the country was in some sort of shortage of gypsum, but largely, I think 3/4 of the byproducts of cement, of what cement is made of, in terms of its composition, I think these are locally sourced material. So I think there was no justification to have seen the prices escalating to that level. And I'm happy that CCPC has responded in the affirmative. You are aware at first they had kept the outcome of this case closer to their chest, not making findings public to members of the general public. But I'm happy they've done so now, and I hope maybe it could be the reason why the president would say what he said recently.
When he said there are cartels,
Yes.
But when you look at this, decision, this has been made for a period between the period 2019.
Already, just
2020.
I was just sniffing through online, but I'm aware, like I've told you, it will be difficult for them, especially in terms of the companies, to accept what the outcome is. And here is a statement, I'm told a strong-worded statement that Lafarge has issued. Lafarge Zambia Limited was surprised to learn that the Competition and Consumer Commission had concluded that it contravened the Competition and Consumer Protected Act. Since the initiation of the Commissioner's investigations in January 2020, Lafarge has consistently denied the Commission's allegation of its engagement in restrictive business practices in the cement sector. Although Lafarge Zambia is yet to receive and consider the full decision of the Commission's board, it remains steadfast in its position. Lafarge Zambia has cooperated with the Commission throughout its investigations by providing numerous detailed submissions, documents, testimony. While Lafarge Zambia will continue to cooperate with the Commission, it intends to exercise the rights to appeal the decision. Given the circumstances under which the Commission's board decision was communicated to Lafarge Zambia and the limited information available to it, the company is in no position to provide further commentary at this stage. So, of course, now, away from CCPC, this will become a litigation issue that can take years and years to be able to arrive at. Yes, in terms of headlines, it looks nice that something has been done, but it's not easy because, of course, like they've told us, they've been able to provide a detailed analysis of what is obtaining on the ground. But like I told you, in terms of the few investigations that I had, you are aware at some point, I think if I'm not mistaken, Chambeshi Metals in Chambeshi used to provide gypsum as a process of when extracting copper. But since it went under care and maintenance, the issue of gypsum has become hot cake.
Yes.
And I'm told in terms of the local prevailing companies have been collecting gypsum from countries as far as Zimbabwe, Namibia, Mozambique,
and that's what that's what has caused.
And they factored that as a transport cost. But it's an exciting outcome, and only time will tell. But I know that it will be a protracted legal battle, because also in terms of the brand, Lafarge will not accept to say their brand should be tainted in such a manner. So they will have to fight to the end to be able to protect different brands that are involved.
So according to the statement from CCPC, they are looking at the period 2019-2020, and 2019-2020 they are looking at how the price of cement moved from around 50 kwacha to 100 kwacha. The cement price today is not this amount. The cement price today, like you said, is around 145, 145 kwacha. Now, what happened after the 100 kwacha is what Mavuto is saying, to say there was no gypsum in the country. So, some of the sources have said, and so because there was lack of gypsum, we had to go and, import.
And this is where I also have a problem. The common denominator in terms of the consequence of the decision has been communicated to the public. I don't think the entire outcome of this particular case has been pushed in the public domain for us to be able to make an informed decision. Yeah. So it's just on face value. Oh, this is what has happened. These people have been found wanting. That's what I'm saying. In court now, people have to prove to say this is what we found, and the opposition was this. So, like I've said, that's why I foresee a long, protracted legal battle in terms of ensuring that the matter is put to bed.
I have asked this question to Munzia, and I've asked it to you before, Mavuto. The genuineness of some companies. Do you think that some companies would want to take advantage of the dollar, regardless of it having impact on them, to just hike their prices and make a few more coins?
Yeah, but I think most of the companies, I said, I've always told people that's implication of having some sort of a liberalized economy. Because you know it had to take a question in parliament to be able to ask. So even CCPC, for me, I'll tell you, said, has not acted in the best manner in terms of corporate responsibility. You know why? Because one, this should have been undertaken by themselves. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this started when a question was raised in Parliament where people were concerned about the higher cost of cement.
We get to. Did you have any more comments on this story before we get to another story?
No, we can go to a different story.
All right. So this afternoon, as we're having conversation, we did come across some other story that, in fact, this story came out yesterday, and I have seen, as of this morning, some political parties responding to this development. So the Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU, expects Zambia's ruling party, the Patriotic Front PF, led by President Edgar Lungu, to remain in power during this period of 2021-2026. In its latest country report forecast of March 2021, the EIU made the forecast. The EIU is the world leader in business and political intelligence. It is the research and analysis division of the Economist Group, the sister company of the Economist newspaper. It was created in 1946 and has over 70 years' experience in helping business, financial firms, and governments navigate the ever-changing global landscape. It also gives economic and geopolitical insight, guiding the world's organizations. Now, the latest EIU country report on Zambia has stated that despite tough economic, political, and social challenges, President Edgar Lungu and the ruling Patriotic Front will score an electoral victory in August 2021 general elections over its main rival, the opposition UPND. It stated that Zambia's ongoing economic recession, initially sparked by the coronavirus pandemic and later aggravated by a formal default on Zambia's sovereign debt to its Eurobond holders in mid-November 2020, represents a challenge to the survival of the increasingly embattled government. The EIU has a portfolio of clients globally and helps them accurate and credible analysis to help them navigate the increasingly complex global environment. It also analyzes political and economic developments, forecasts economic trends, and understands country-specific regulations and business practices. When I was reading through this, it had a lot of justification. It had a lot of justification of the entity that has released this statement than of what the content of the statement, is about. I want to get your immediate reaction to this statement before I get to bring in Mamoto and what other political parties have had to say concerning this report.
They have given, in the report, I I think they do realize the sensitivity of the information that they are giving out. And I think if we're going to talk about justifying information that is being given, they really can't justify the information that is being given. And so they would rather than justify how much work they have done and with who and how they should be considered a credible entity rather than give us credible information. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's strange to receive this report. I would love to know, in the report, I would love to know what methods were used to actually come out with what exactly is going to be happening in the period 2021 and 2026. We know people sit and analyze situations. Like they have said themselves, they do sit and analyze economic developments and issues to do with that, including the political arena. But how exactly was it done? Rather than justifying how much work you have done and with who, maybe give us full information so that we know that the information you're giving us is credible.
Mavuto, have you read this report?
I saw it last night. Having a chill late in the night. We had this discussion and I looked at the report. When I came actually in the office, after the show, I was thinking, why didn't we look at this matter? Because I think from last night it had been dominating. I think there were two stories that I was making reference to. One of them was the issue of, I think those who had been arrested on the Copper Belt. So it's the same also. So, and I was thinking to myself, okay, there's this report that has emerged. But given circumstances at what we were saying in the morning, I don't see any difference for that report. And I can tell you the accuracy of that report. It's a very accurate report.
This one?
Yeah. It's a very accurate report. In short, it's just telling the opposition to say, work hard. It's a very accurate report. Most of the times, the margin of error is very minimal. Yeah, based on, that's why they would rather focus more on their profile and the little of a meat, just as a heads up to say, guys, look at these indicators.
So the opposition has to step up the game.
Yeah, it's about opposition stepping up the game. And once they don't step up the game, it might be difficult. Most of that I can tell you about this report. The difference is very minimal. You remember what we were talking about in the morning?
I remember the conversation.
I also know what you were talking about in the morning, Mavuto. But are you giving them so much room for credibility because they are an intelligence unit?
They don't just issue premature statements. They would have thought through the process, and by the time that they are releasing, then they know what they're working on. So don't push them aside.
Mavuto is saying they are not a pushover organization.
He's saying that the report is very accurate.
Yep. Most of the time, the margin error is very small.
All right. The opposition National Restoration Party has... No, I'm not shocked.
I'm telling Musa is shocked. He must be shocked.
The opposition National Restoration Party has responded to this particular report, and it has said that comforting ourselves that Edgar Lungu continues till 2026 is suicidal. Reading a doctored report by Economic Intelligence Unit, an entity run by people who don't feel our economic pinch, is heartbreaking. We are only comforted by the fact that they don't participate in actual voting. Otherwise, they would doctor for their wishes to burden the already frustrated, angry and hungry Zambians for their personal agendas, which we know is inspired by corruption. We urge all well-meaning Zambians to ignore this psychologically doctored report and vote out this ailing, failed leadership of the Patriotic Front under President Lungu. We urge you Zambians to choose a leadership that is inspiring development for Zambians by Zambians. Now, Munzia.
I think that response also is a little harsh. Yes, I mean, when we allow such units to come into the country and look at certain happenings, and especially to do with the public, especially to do with how human lives, I mean, we should at least give them credit. I don't want to believe this report because I don't know what methods were used to actually come up with a conclusion that President Edgar Lungu is going to remain in power in this period. I honestly do not understand how that was brought out. I don't know. I don't understand how that conclusion was reached at. But to say such reports are doctored, what was the term? Exactly. Psychologically doctored,
yes.
and they are often as a result of corruption.
Yes.
I think we should give the units some credit, and we should allow them to do their jobs. And for me, even as I doubt the report itself, I'm not saying it's as a result of corruption. I'm just thinking their information could genuinely not be accurate. That is just me, because I don't understand what analysis, what information they used to come up with such an analysis. That is all that I'm saying. To then take it too far, no, I don't agree with that.
What is, I don't know, in your area or in your areas of influence, if this has ever come across, but there has been talk of a wind of change. Do you, in your conversations with your, groups, have such discussions concerning the wind of change? And do you believe that the opposition is, just aging closer to taking power anytime soon?
Do I discuss the wind of change in my circles?
Yes. Do people in your circles, do you hear people in your circles discuss this?
I actually do hear a lot of people discuss this. If you talk about my personal chats with my friends, I love to discuss issues. I love to discuss, but when it gets too political to then discuss the wind of change, honestly, I don't go that direction because I love to respect each and every person's opinion. At the end of the day, individuals will be voting as individuals, and so just because you believe in the wind of change, or the next person believes that, like the report has said, that Edgar Lungu should remain in power between 2021 and 2020. Everything should be respected, because people will go and vote, and the
opinions,
results, opinions should be respected. Yes, yes. I have heard of a wind of change. Everybody has been crying. Even for me, when I say I do want to see a wind of change, it may not necessarily mean to see opposition come in. It may mean opposition come in. It may also not necessarily mean Lungu to leave. It could mean for some kind of miracle to happen, and that certain things start to go different, but with the same administration. And so wind of change, yes, a lot of people will call for wind of change. A lot of people out there are discussing the wind of change, but I think opinions should be respected.
I would want to see, the report.
And people should, not just opinions, even as we are getting to the voting day, I think people should be respected enough to allow them to vote for who they believe is the best candidate.
I'd love to see the report that this intelligence unit.
No,
not for this one. I would want to see the one for 2016. I would want to see the one for 2015, and I'd also want to see the one for 2011, and want to see, just compare and check through that. If in these particular periods their analysis was only just missing by a fraction, then I would have, I would give it credence, this particular report. But like you are saying, several opinions are allowed, and it is expected of us to respect several opinions, and us to have ours respected, by others. But then you haven't answered my second question. Do you think that the opposition in this country is doing enough or is hungry enough to be the ones to carry on the baton? Or do you think that the ruling party equally is hungry enough to hold on to it?
both parties are hungry enough, and I like that you changed. I honestly do like that you changed the term, because I do believe that the opposition is hungry enough to want to be the ones that emerge victorious, except they're not doing enough. You know, when you want something so bad, but you're going about it the wrong way. Yes, that is where I put the opposition. They really are hungry enough, and unfortunately, people are so dependent that this is, especially the ones that will come out and say we're expecting a wind of change. This is what they want to see come about, the wind of change. But then I honestly don't think they are going about it the right way. Some political parties, yes, some opposition political parties, yes, may actually be going about it the right way, but they are still, honestly speaking, for me, I feel like even the ones that I would say are going about it the right way, you know what I mean? They're still far from the crossing line. Those that could be seemingly closer to the crossing line are the ones that I would want to openly say are not doing enough. They are not doing enough to get on the ground and like Mavuto, again, I'll go back to what Mavuto was saying in the morning, to provide alternatives. Yeah, like don't tell me, show me. Like, give me a proper, convincing plan. A plan is what we want to see. Of course, there's been issues like in the morning, you guys were discussing how they should say this district has cried for a clinic for so long, and here is a clinic. It shouldn't even have to get to that, but at least give me a proper plan to say this is how I'm going to give you a clinic, or this is how I'm going to distribute the resources that we have. This is how we are going to end corruption, rather than to just say we are going to end corruption and leave it there. Then you're not doing enough.
In the past 3 elections, one political party has almost gotten, the vote. One opposition political party has almost gotten the presidency. This is the UPND. So yesterday, the past 2 days, their president has been discussing with his followers via his social media platforms, on various solutions that he and his party have for the country. One of them was education, and yesterday he did explain how, he was going to use his education, how he's going to use the money, that the people we owe, are saying are going to forgive us, and how much that money will be reinvested into education, because it is his party and his belief that education, there's a conversation, a lot of conversation there. But then, in explaining what he's going to do for education, he did touch on the aspect to do with development and creation of roads, and he did say that it is not up to government. It should not only be up to government to create roads or to build roads, but the councils should be able to build roads from the revenues, that the revenue that they generate, the multiple sources of revenue that they have. They should be able to build roads for their, towns. But the question that I then had was, the opposition United Party for National Development in many areas in this country has got full control of the councils. Why then hasn't, these councils shown us a blueprint of what the UPN
Do they, though? Do they really have full control of the councils?
Of some councils, they do have control of the council chairperson. They do have control, they have their council chairperson, the mayors, they have control of the town clerks in these areas. Except the town clerk. But anyways, they've got the mayor, they've got the council chairpersons, they've got the councillors themselves in most of these areas in their strongholds. They are going to tell you, this is the response, that we don't receive CDF. CDF has got nothing to do with the solution that the UPND leader was giving yesterday, because he was saying that it is from revenue collection. In Lusaka, you're going to be told...
But you see, when we start to look at councils being run from revenue collection,
yes,
that is where I start to doubt if really they have the control.
Who?
The opposition.
How?
Do they really have the control of the councils that you're talking about?
Yes. Munzia, a council, namkwata ba mayor, namkwata n'amakansela, amakansela benu n'abameya benu, fyonse. Benu, who is controlling the council? It's you. Who else is controlling the council? The only thing is, in a CDF Lela, which, comes now, has only come twice in the past 4 years. But what happens then to the revenue? The issue is, these political parties that control councils also control areas like bus stations, where they're supposed to be collecting most of their revenue.
But wait, Nkonjera. Yes, that.
And they allow political party cadres.
Yes, we have that, and yes, we have political party cadres. But regardless of whether we do have the political party cadres or not, there's still a portion of the revenue that does reach the right office, that is genuinely collected,
yes,
or that is legally collected.
Yes.
And so, when I say, do they really have control over that? Maybe when we talk about the opposition saying city council government should not be the only one to implement the reconstruction of roads, but city council should be able to do that too. Let's talk about who has control over the revenue and what exactly it is spent on, because that is what I'm doubting.
So here is the conversation that they had this morning.
First tell me, Paddy, the revenue has been collected.
Yes. It's in the hands of the council. The council makes its own budget. The council makes its own budget from the money that it has collected. If it hasn't, then they, ask for grants and all of that. But the council makes its own budget. So if we have collected so much because we have been in charge of, our council and our towns, I don't see a problem with us implementing, our own projects.
Let's hear what you are saying. No,
I'm not posting. I'm just asking a question to say, if they say that they'll be in control of they're in control of the councils, or that they'll be in control of the councils, and so that is why they are going to.
There will be. You see, when I was saying, for me, opposition, I'll get to a point where I say they really are doing enough is when they give me a proper plan of what they are going to do.
Here's one plan.
And so here is one plan where we are being told. Reconstruction of roads will not just be dependent on the government. So that is a plan. And I expect that when they do...
But why are they not doing now,
listen,
is my question.
I expect that when they do, if they do get into power, I expect that they implement. And then I'm going to say, this is what they were talking about. What I do not agree with is saying, or what I am doubting is you saying they already have control of those councils. Why are they not doing it? That is what I need you to make me understand. How are they in control?
They're in control. All the elected councillors are in most of these areas of their strongholds are theirs, including mayors. I'll give you Livingstone. Livingstone has got a UPND mayor. It has got UPND councillors, majority, if not of everyone in that council. So who else should control the council apart from them? It's just a question. All right, so let me tell you what they said. So someone is doubting that we can't afford to pay bursaries to all students. So this is based on the free education promise that the UPND has been given. So the number I gave yesterday was 147,000. Let us do the numbers together. The lenders to Zambia have indicated that they are willing to reschedule such that up to 20% of current debt repayments will be released for national expenditure. This means that immediately this happens, our annual debt repayment will reduce to about 1.76 billion United States dollars, saving us as much as 440 million United States dollars. So since we want bursaries at 1,980 per month per student, and an academic year is 9 months. This means that for 147,000 students, we will need around 147,000 by 1,980 by 9 months, which will be equal to 2.62 billion. This 2.62 billion is 116 million United States dollars at the current exchange rate of about 22.50 kwacha. With our savings of 440 million US dollars, we can afford this. So that is the plan. And then that is meal allowances, basically the 1,980. But there's also an issue to do with, tuition fees, and which is not included in this. So of course, this is expected to go higher. But that is a plan, yeah?
Which we are calling for. It's a plan that we are calling
yes. For. So you can have questions in there, but that is a plan. So in answering to one of these queries, that is where the UPND leader does go and say that with regards creation of or building of roads in these cities and towns, we expect our councils to do that because they need to collect revenue. The biggest cry that has been there, Munzia, is that these councils don't collect enough revenue because there's interference of cadres. But I will tell you that strongholds of the ruling party have got ruling party cadres. Strongholds of the opposition have got opposition cadres. So for me, to say that it's because of cadres that there's no development in this area, when it comes to the other side that he's saying that they have a solution, I question, because I want to believe that that party has got power to tell its cadres to not collect, money on behalf, instead of in behalf of the council. Yes, because not quite a plan, and in the area so kuleto alangishat kuno ofu kulebomba ofu amatowns yesu nga twaisa mpawa ukwashalo oku ofu tukashita instruct at filebomba, because we're going to remove all cadres from these bus stations, for example, and make sure that development goes in the manner that we want it to be done. That is just the question that I have. I don't see how it will work then when it is not working now.
I understand you. I hear you.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask.
I hear you, Banja. I hear you.
I'm going to ask. Maybe our viewers are going to help us, answer. The good thing is that at least now you're seeing plans and you're seeing the how.
Yes,
all right?
yes.
The how this plan can work. Yes, we will have questions here and there, and those plans will be refined before they are implemented. But
and you see, that is why for me, honestly, I know this is not what we are discussing right now, but if that plan is coming in from UPND, so if UPND is strongly saying we want to invest in education, and this is the plan that we have in education, then we have NAREP that is going to then say we want to invest in I'll give an example, industrialization, and this is the plan that we have. That is why, for me, my biggest hope was that all these opposition political parties would then get into an alliance. And I really do believe that would have seen the best results come out.
If these political parties were what? In an alliance? Because...
And not to save themselves.
Not an alliance.
Because then each one is coming in with what they feel they can do best, where they have actually sat down, concentrated, spent time to make this plan. So UPND is bringing in their plan, what they've done on education. I know that they can look at everything, but if they are so focused, and if they say what we really do want to respect as a party is education, they can then partner with someone who is going to say, or get into an agreement and say, we are going to work together, but as you are bringing education to the table, we are going to bring industrialization. Then somebody else is going to bring in something else. Yes, one party can do all those things, but I think when all these come together and do it together, I believe we could have seen something big.
Now, when I ask a question to say, why can't the current party that is ruling engage others with these brilliant ideas and,
Engage others?
Yes, other parties. It is not, is it supposed to be that...
Why can't the ruling party?
Yes, why can't
engage?
if we have, for example, we have got very serious, problems. Number one, we've got a problem with our debt repayment. We don't know how, well, or we have got issues with restructuring the debt and all of that. Now, there are these players in the political field that have got solutions.
The opposition,
The opposition.
We should make
Yes.
clear.
So you can invite the opposition to an Indawa and say, gentlemen, yes, you want to take power, and I'm in power, but we've got a people. And
That's. Tell me how to best work so I can stay in power.
yes, then they'll be like, just
Tell me
do
how to
ABCD, and you'll be
Tell me how to work so I can stay
you'll be
in
the
power.
last president.
Oh my
You'll be the
goodness!
last
I
president. It's
think
not possible. But-
it is not possible.
but,
Nkonjera, sorry, before you speak, it is not possible, because then, like we have said, it's saying, tell me how to best work so I can stay in power. But honestly, put that
But that's
aside.
the approach
Put
that you want
that
from the
aside.
opposition, to say, gentlemen, we all have ambitions, but let us have a concrete plan or solution for
But
Zambia.
you see, in this case, you're not doing it to then push the other person forward. You are doing it because, as a team, Bonsefe, we are going forward. Does that make sense? We are all going forward, and we are going together.
But there are egos, Munzia, in this.
And that is the problem.
Even in the
but
going,
their egos are costing us.
even in the going ahead, one will say, if we go ahead, whose leg is going to be first?
to go in
Yeah,
first.
who's
That
going-
that exactly is the problem. But they're costing us. I think in Konjara you need to open the phone lines, because
We're opening the
looks
phone
like,
lines.
looks like people have a lot to say.
We're opening-
I've just seen this from Sanford Mvula. The council can't fund road constructions as they are already overwhelmed with delivery of their normal basic duties of cleaning towns and paying workers, as seen in some councils.
So the statement of councils funding themselves is coming from a
It's
UPND
a
plan.
plan.
Yeah? And so we are questioning the plan to say, if that is the case, why then is it not working now in the areas that the UPND have got full control of these councils? By full control, I mean full control, councillors, mayors and all of that, and council chairpersons. We take this short break. When we are back, we get to receive those phone calls. We're going to be getting to that short break in about a minute or two. Monzi, I just want to get to some comments on these plans that have been shared. This plan, rather, on education that has been shared. We had a very heated conversation. You'd almost think that this was a reaction to the conversation we had this morning with the gentleman on the breakfast show. So some of the comments that were here was, so when you say bursary is at 1,980, you mean only the students' upkeep allowances? What about tuition fees, project fees, etc.? How do these fit in the monies? But my big question is, which would be the best use of the savings from debt restructuring against all competing needs if this country, plus many promises you have made? All right. How many by-elections were there in the MMD?
Just redo the one that is questioning priorities.
You want me to read it again?
Yeah.
All right. So Peter Mwale says, so when you say bursary at 1,980 kwacha, do you mean only the students' upkeep allowance? What about tuition fees, project fees, etc.? How do these fit in the monies? But my big question is, which would be the best use of savings from debt restructuring? Is it against all competing needs if this country, of all competing needs in this country, plus the many promises that you have made? So basically, where would you rather you spend the money you're saving from?
From debt repayment.
Yes.
And in this case, he has made it clear that
It's
it will go to
education.
education.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's questioning that because the country has got...
But then that question means people would rather other sectors are prioritized.
And then it's interesting. Then someone says, Dennis Kamwele Nkoma says, some questions people asking here are supposed to be asked to the government. How can the government be asked to? Another party's plan. Yeah? All right. So we're going to be getting to these comments. Let's just take this short break and then we receive your phone calls and read your comments as well. Good afternoon.
As a young mom, you're not always sure that you're doing it right. Choosing the best baby care products for your child can sometimes be difficult. So I asked a pediatric nurse for advice, and she recommended BabyMed. Hypoallergenic skincare products specially formulated to suit my baby's fragile and sensitive skin. A complete range of products that makes every baby bath time a moment of tenderness and well-being. BabyMed, his first expert skincare.
Here is my good friend Joseph. This is his world. Here he is Zebige. He pays close attention to every corner, to every finish, to the top of each and every table. He's got a real feel for it. Oh. You thought I was talking about furniture, did you?
Thank you very much for staying tuned to lunch. We are having a good time this afternoon on the Lunchtime Show, and we are going to be opening phone lines in a minute or two. We'll just start with reactions coming via our social media platforms. Mwila Chisenga says, ni beans ba Muvi na imwe. Mwila, beans ni...
Beans is what part?
Maybe he's having beans for lunch. But anyways, yeah, that's one of the comments. Wilfred Chakwanda says, I like how Munzia comes out with her analysis. She justifies the situation in its normal trend. I am impressed that she doesn't agree without looking at parameters of a situation. Please, she has to be part of the breakfast with the boys and girls. She's part of the team, but she will answer why she doesn't come. Lucky Sioto says, I like the way Munzia is analyzing. Abraham Asmara says, where do you put powers of Minister of Local Government if you talk of mayor and councillors? Or maybe you tell us that the Minister of Local Government is from opposition?
Conjera. I like Abraham.
What is the role of the Minister of Local Government?
No, I mean, but those people report to him.
You report to him in what regard?
The happenings of the city council.
Yes, but you as a council, you sit and you have a plan, and it's your plan that you are submitting for approval. So unless you tell me that this council had submitted a plan that they are going to do A, B, C, D, then the Minister of Local Government said, no, you can't do. Then I'll have an issue, and you give me an example. It's not me that is suggesting that the council should do this. This is being suggested by the UPND.
When and if they're in power, it will be easy because
How?
it's going to be the same government. It's going to be the
But
same
have they
administration.
tried?
It's going to be the same administration. Even the Minister of Local Government is going to be of the same administration. So that will be easy.
Why
to
have they not done
implement.
it now? Because the minister is not UPND?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just Abraham and I are just saying, where do you place them? Where do you place the minister?
They are there to guide and push for other things other than the budget and the happenings of the council.
Let's go. Sanford
The council can't fund road construction as they are already overwhelmed with delivery. Their normal basic duties of cleaning the towns and paying the workers as seen in some councils. That is the situation. But the justification that has been given to this reason is that there's too much interference from political party cadres at council markets, bus stations, ABC, and that there's a lot of money, millions.
One thing I do agree with you is when we say there's a lot of interference from political party cadres, we are not just talking about cadres from the ruling party, because we've heard of stations that are being ruled by cadres from the opposition. That we should make
so
clear.
we do have a situation right here in Lusaka, for example. Lusaka City Council lost in excess of, is it 90 million? Yes, about 90 million kwacha in a month. Yeah, which went the other way because there were other receipts or a fake receipt or whatever that was being used at the council. That money is a lot of money just from one bus station or from one market. But this is a situation where if these monies are being brought rightfully to the council then can have better plan of how they are going to use that money. We don't, because there's political party cadre interference in the running of council affairs. Is it going to change when the UPND gets power, that the cadres that are in opposition that are languishing now because the cadres that are in ruling are the ones that have taken up most of the spaces, for example, here in Lusaka? Is it going to change when the UPND take power that we'll have no cadres in bus stations?
They say it will, but again, it brings us back to the question of why
do we have cadres in their strongholds?
Those that are there, yeah.
Right. Chideshe Ellis says councils can definitely do it. What they need is to streamline processes and cut unnecessary expenditure and curb corruption. I agree with Chideshe, and I agree with the plan by the UPND. But my question for the UPND is, why are they not doing it now? It's like if bachanda magazi ruchero ndefo omwana kashi yona mbo kumwe bateka kuchitire ndeke bachimushtireko nangu maslipa nangu masikio
but inishinde ale saving nendeke
ati
ale saving nendeke
tete ansumini mwana kashi yo tete ansumini nangu riskio munzi nangu ni powder ati nkakuchitire ndeke at least tulangen just take even just one council and tell us, transform it and give us a blueprint of what the rest of the councils are going to be like. Show us one area where there's no corruption at the council and tell us that because there's no corruption at this council, this is how the rest of the councils in this country are going to run, because we're going to put in systems. There are no systems in ABCD, not in areas where you have got control and corruption is existent, and you said it's because others are doing it, so why not us? No, I don't think that should be the solution or the situation moving forward.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah. All right, so those are some of the comments that are coming through. You can call in on the number 0764250055 and add your voice to this conversation. It is important that we have these conversations because they help shape our society, and they help us build environments that are suitable for ourselves and those that we're expecting to take over from us. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Kosia.
Good afternoon, thank you, sir. How are you?
This is JM from Muvi.
JM, how's Ndora today? Hello? All right, JM, we lost you there. The network is doing what it does when it doesn't want you to come through and offer that very important contribution, but please do try. We're going to beat the network, especially now that you are getting.
You're making too many promises. You start to sound like
Who is making promises?
you.
How? Which promise have I
Starts
made?
to sound like some politicians.
I'm trying to make time for him to come through.
Okay.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. How are you, Shikuru?
Why should I complain when the situation has presented itself to be in a very, very difficult manner?
Which situation, Shikuru?
The situation in the country is happening. Are you?
Zambia. Go ahead, Shikuru.
Okay. Listen, do you have a reporter in Sesheke? Listen, do you have a reporter in Sesheke?
We can arrange for.
I'm asking you, answer me. Do you have a reporter in Sesheke?
We can arrange for a story in Sesheke if there's something.
Go to the border.
All right.
Go to the border. Ask the man to take a picture of the Namibian side.
All right.
And let him take the Zambian side picture. So that you can compare the way the councils are operating in Namibia and the way councils are operating in Zambia.
Yes.
You just a picture at the border will show you ukuniku Zambia kwa Afrika, ukuniku Namibia kwa Lusaka. I've lived in Namibia quite a long time. And believe you me, the police were trained by Zambia police.
Yes.
But if you look at the way the police operate in Namibia, it's very different from the way the trainers the Zambia police operate.
Extremely different.
Most of the council workers in Namibia trained in Zambia. Zambia are the teachers. Look at the way the teachers in Zambia even compared to the workers in Namibia who were trained by Zambians. There is what they call social responsibility in Namibia.
Yes.
If a person, you have a shop, you'll be required to do the paving outside your shop. But then if you have a shop in Namibia, the council will require you to paint your shop in a particular paint which will make the eye see. You know, when you look at buildings in Namibia, you are going to see uniformity.
Yes.
When you look at the buildings in Zambia, you'll see in the architectural aspect. That is very distorting.
Extremely true.
That is very distorting. Then you are saying, what are the UPND going to do better compared to PF?
Especially that they're in control of Sesheke Council.
Yes. When they, you see, when you are delayed to do things, you keep seeing mistakes and the gaps that you are seeing. If you look at the gaps, those are the things that you focus on. And then you are talking about, for example, the church is failing to operate. What you don't know is the invisible hand. And then we Africans, even where we are working by FM, you have got your juniors.
I'm quite.
The junior who is going to be doing so much better than you, if the glory will go to you, is the first one you dislike.
That's true.
Even as you are saying, if UPND was to go to PF and say, let's do this way, PF is going to take the credit. But they will not be kind enough to that person who's giving them that good advice. I was looking for the mind of myself. I know how British people behave. When you are a good waiter, you can, because they know the credit will go to them and not you. And we act blacks. We don't know when the credit is coming to you. All you do is just the ego to say, I'm the boss. People know that you are with Munja there.
Yes.
If, say, for example, Munja was getting it, and she's doing very well, you will have the feeling to say the day people will know Munja was doing well, she'll take over from me.
Alefo Kumpok.
I think I've talked too much.
Shukolu, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. So Shukolu has come in with an interesting perspective. I've been to Namibia, and the side of Namibia that Shukolu is talking about, we are told, is one of the least developed parts of Namibia. When you just cross Sesheke, the other side, we are told it's one of the least developed areas. It's clean.
And yet it looks like some of the most developed.
It looks like Lusaka. Hello?
Hello, my brother and my sister.
Hello,
Hi,
Nkumba, how are you?
Nkumba.
Very fine. I love this pair. The way you are analyzing things is much better. There is some mental involvement there. Meaning you are less like initiative like your colleague. you look at issues as they are. And that is very progressive. Okay?
Thank
I
you.
think Mabudavina could have been a troubled child. Because sometimes it doesn't give you other people chance.
He'll
Comes
come-
in, even when you don't have
He'll come back for you, Nkumba, tomorrow.
Okay.
Go
The
ahead.
other issue is this.
Yes, sir.
For UPN has been consistent,
Yes.
especially with regard to the operations of the council. What is lacking by in our councils this time is capacity. The policy that has been put in place does not give the council room to generate enough revenue to do whatever they want. Hence, the government has been giving them peanuts through equalization fund. During privatization,
Yes.
remember they sold the houses. Those were revenue, sort of revenue for the council. They were supposed to build some more infrastructure out of that revenue. But what happened? That money we don't know its way. Where it went. At some point, the PF, is it PF or MMG, suspended the grain or whatever, what they were collecting at these barriers, which has come back, but still they can't use that money accordingly because it is not enough. Look at the way some of the councils currently are overstaffed by relatives and children to cadres, okay, of the party in government. Whenever a council here asks for some space so that they can employ some of their general workers, those people come from there. And when you check, at one time it was found that the rural councils are overstaffed compared to the city councils and especially city councils. In the city councils, there are few workers compared to the rural councils. So all the money that they get from the revenue that they have
Goes to
is
salaries.
instead of using it on projects, it is used to pay salary. So once these councils are capacitated, they are given capacity, there is nothing that they can fail to do. And I think even the central government involvement, you have seen some councils that wanting to do something because the government does not agree. They have been suspended. Okay? Find out of those suspensions which ones were getting. That is the interference we are talking about. It's not only from party cadres, but even from the central government.
from central government.
They have been interfering with the council. So immediately they are given enough power. Okay, they are to do whatever they think they can do. And they are given enough empowerment to empower them through CPF and other things. I think there is nothing that they can do. Of course, the rural councils might struggle, but those municipal and city councils, they can do a lot of things that we don't see them doing now. That intelligence from that economic whatever, you know where they have looked at? Perhaps they have looked at the poverty level and the peanuts that the party government is giving in bribery, by bribing people. So because of that, you have seen they have won some by-elections in rural areas. Because they have gone there with the food, with the chicken, okay, broilers, and the tomato squatters, and they have ended up winning. That's where that intelligence has based its analysis and its findings. But now it's up to you, Zambia. Can you live on handout so that you can make someone win because of handout? And how can that sustain you? That's where the question now. Now someone was saying, no, Mwetua has got no value. I did this in Kewewe. Why can't he just stick to his country, this PF? Because, you know, what Bakakoma did? Bakakoma defected because of followers, okay? And this Mwetua has rescinded his decision because of what? Of followers. Why hasn't Kewewe condemned Bakakoma? Because what I know, according to what Bakakoma, the reason for Bakakoma defect is useless. You can't be managed by your followers. As a good leader should manage what? The people who follow you.
Yes.
Show them the direction. That is always wherever they want, that's where you go. Then you claim to be a good leader. But that's why I say Kakoma disgraced himself. Should have kept quiet and deceptive quiet. They have that is saying, no, because my followers are not happy. So, you, now where is he going? Is he going to be the manager himself? He wants to be late. Now, what he wants to say concerning him, Mwetua at first could have done it on his own. But now the parents to him and the family members and including parents have cancelled him. This one has seen it fit. So you say he has got no value. To him, yes, in a way, because his PF is eating and sleeping with the PF, yes, he can see no value in what he does. We can't leave this parliament to plant on the selfish field so that they can be making laws that protect their stupidity in government. We don't want that. We want people who can give it, if UPD doesn't win. But we want people who can give credible checks and balances to the party government, whichever is going to win after 2021 election, October. So you wanted not to be there so that novice ones can go there. No, friends, we should be serious in our the way we comment on the matter. But I believe it's up to Zambia whether PF should continue or not.
right, thank you
you.
very much, Nkungwa, for your contribution. 0764250055 is the number to call. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, my brother, man?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
No, I'm perfect today. Greeting to the madam on the panel there. Good analysis.
Thank you.
First of all, I would like to start with the issue of my brother, man, Mr. Njogogo, the Yali president.
All right, your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling you from Kitwe.
Okay. Your name?
My name is Wadia.
All right, Mr. Boyle, please go ahead.
I would like to respond to my brother, man, Mr. Njogogo. He's a brother of mine that I respect so much. For what he has been doing in the past. I'm quite disappointed with this brother of mine called Mr. Njogogo. In other countries, the organizations that intend to represent the YADI, for the sake of our listeners, that is Young Africans Initiative. It's one of the organizations that has got headquarters in the United States of America. The aim for this particular organization is to empower young people into higher position, to encourage young people. And they've got quite a number of programs that this organization called YAGI has to look at. To ensure that young people like yourself in the studio there, perhaps you find yourself in parliament. I'm not saying what you're doing is not good. You are doing quite a tremendous job in terms of informing the nation and of course educating the masses and stuff like that. But for my brother man to go a different way, it's quite unfortunate for this country. Other countries are benefiting. I'll give you an example of a country like Kenya. There's this young lady we watch in this movie called Is It Nondo or Where? Those big sports programs like Yadi, and today is in the United States featuring in the movies and stuff like that. We've seen other countries where today we're having countries that are being represented at international level by young people. But in our country, we have a representative, a young president, who's siding with the party that is in power, commenting negatively on those in the opposition. My brother was supposed to be balanced. Supposed to be balanced. We were not supposed to be, I must say, to be political. That office does not allow him to do that. I'm sure I have said. And lastly, let me conclude by saying, coming to the issue of council, I'm sure certain councils have not done a tremendous job. In as much as we want to sort on the government and stuff like that. I concur with the previous caller. I have Mr. Nkungwa, as it were. He has highlighted some issues that I'll summary talk about. In these councils, they receive what we call grants from government, central government, from not central government, from government. But when we get to where do they take this money for them to be delaying salary for the workers? And the sub council, they're given mandate. It's not all everywhere where the government has said, no, this part will be doing this and that. I think the other problem is this called the council secretary, but is it's time that those in power should be given your position to people who are too young. I'm not saying those the old madalas are not, in some councils you find that the old madalas are not performing to the expectation because of their age. Hello?
We're getting you, please wind up.
Let me end there. It's even raining here.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bwalia, for that contribution. We welcome one more call, and then we wind up with lunch this afternoon. It's been a very, interesting conversation that we've had this afternoon. Your views, contributions are very much respected. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Mr. Martin calling from Colorado.
Mr. Mwanza, please go ahead.
Yes. There's that start with on council.
Sure, sir.
You know, I've worked with the Lusaka City Council.
Yes, sir.
I've worked with Kitche City Council.
Mm.
I've worked with the Ndola City Council.
Mm.
I've worked with the Solon City Council. I've worked with the Columbia City Council. I think I've worked in all these councils. Most of the time working for the council. It's a different department.
Mm.
No, whereby if it comes for anybody for collecting rents,
Mm.
they'll give you a list. Okay? Where there are billions, companies owing billions in terms of rents.
You said council are owing billions.
You know, the fact that the council are being owned.
Owed billions.
In terms of rent.
Mm.
Whether it comes to the recreational warrant for execution, you find that they will follow those who have got small amounts. Okay? Those who have got big amounts, those of the body of the top there, they fail to raise this money. In short, what I'm trying to say, there's no political will there. The fact that, for example, was already been run by the European League, okay?
Mm.
But you find the mayor and the town that have more power, so the PS and the minister of fund, the minister of the what do you want to explain to me? So they have no power in short.
All right.
There's no political will whatsoever there. So otherwise they cancel a capable. Letting out money, then we can, I don't know the rest. But that's all. You have no power, no political will.
All right.
We come on the way. You know, in the way, like the blocking, and what's up, and the way other kind of blocking, the way is the area. In the way the person supposed to be leading this country, areas of leaders, opposition leaders, the ruling party, how to run this country, that is doing is being with the trouble.
All right.
If they have roots, if you see the law against the party moving forward, then the law I think is a failure to me. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mwanza. Mr. Mwanza was our last caller. Mwanza just run through some of the submissions that have been made with regards to the council. Mr. Mwanza is saying that because his phone the network was not so good. He says that he's worked with some councils, not necessarily for, but that the situation that exists is that these councils are owed billions by several players in their respective areas, but that those that have got a lot of money or that are owing a lot of money usually have got relationships with either the permanent secretaries,
Political backing.
yes, or the minister. And so because there's that, because the mayor and the town clerk will have little power against the minister or the PS, they end up not collecting such revenues, and that lands them into problems such as the ones that most councils experience.
We don't have the evidence, but we know that there are things that are happening. We know that these things are happening. We can't dispute that.
All right, it's been an interesting conversation this afternoon. I would want us to continue. Today we've looked a bit on councils, a bit of education, but not really much delving into education and the solutions that several players are proposing. The solution to do with councils is a similar solution that the opposition NAREP has been advocating for, to say they want councils to be self-reliant, they want councils to be responsible for building ABCD, including roads and. So we get to look at and interrogate these proposals or proposed solutions on this platform and many other platforms that Muvi Television does provide. Munzia, it's been great having you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, and good afternoon, viewers.
All right. Thank you very much, viewers. Good afternoon.